Welcome back to William Steel, True Crime. And we are bringing you Rodney Barno once again.
I'm sorry, Bill. There was an announcement here. I couldn't hear what you said.
Welcome back to William Steel, True Crime and Steel Spotlight Television. We have with us a returning guest, Rodney Barno. He's incarcerated for over 50 years, sentenced for nonviolent crimes out of San Diego County. Even though the three strikes law no longer applies to him and he's supposed to be resentenced, prosecutor's office is evidently sitting on $5 million given to them by the taxpayers to deal with this type of cases. And in his case, at least, they're refusing to act. So, Ron, welcome back. We want to hear some more about what are you doing about this? What can we do to help? What can the public do to help?
Well, I was hoping to get some type of attention and bring some type of justice here with the district attorney's office. I mean, they just aren't budging. I'm begging them for relief. I'm applying for all these resentencing and conviction review units and all these things that the district attorney's office has been allocated funds to generate, and I'm not getting any relief. They have a conviction review unit. I've presented an application to them. They have declined to entertain it. I have done the 1170 recall of resentencing, which is where they were allocated funds. I'm not getting any relief. And upon doing research, I discovered that the deputy district attorney, Laura Gunn, in my case, has used similar tactics in a case by a female in San Diego named Cynthia Summers. And this case was on 48 hours or Dateline, and it was a huge case, and they prosecuted her for poisoning her Marine husband with arsenic. And it turned out that they falsified and fabricated evidence and used similar tactics as they did in my case, and she was freed from jail, and she was fortunate enough to have the right thing done because there was attention brought to it.
Right. So you did some research and found a lot of malfeasance on the part of one of these prosecutors, more than you even imagined, correct?
Correct. Not only the head district attorney, Summer Stefan, but Deputy District Attorney Laura Gunn, and Bonnie Dumanis, which all of them were involved in my case. Bonnie Dumanis and Laura Gunn prosecuted me in 2003 and 2005, in that area. And then Summer Stefan took over, which Bonnie Dumanis basically put her in her seat. And so she, in my opinion, is a puppet for Bonnie Dumanis. And I believe that there's some type of injustice that's going on behind the scene. And that's why that nobody's explaining to me why I'm not obtaining any relief here.
Enough things were said to you kind of behind the scenes and off the record, even by your judge, to make you really believe that there's complete impropriety going on here. Now, let me ask you a question. Who were your original defense attorneys, and how come now that you're entitled to resentencing, are they not stepping in to at least see you through that process and get this done?
Well, my trial attorney was Roland Haddad out of San Diego. He's in La Mesa. And I had private investigator and criminal justice consultant Stephen Blake as his right-hand man. And he prepared a sentencing report and tried to convince the court that, that warehousing me under the three strikes law in straight prison would not be in my best interest. And he utilized information he obtained from the victims and witnesses in the case where they all opposed the three strikes law. They opposed my sentence. And they told the court and the district attorney's office, we don't fear this guy's release. And I have it in documentation. We don't want him in prison. We don't want him warehoused there. We want him to entertain community-based resources. And the court completely ignored what the victims and witnesses had to say.
So there's definitely influence going on somewhere inappropriate. We spoke privately. We can't say a lot publicly right now, but we have a good idea where it's coming from.
Absolutely. And the reason that there's evidence of this is because when the victims and the witnesses in the case are saying, hey, we don't want him prosecuted, or we don't want him in prison, or we don't want him charged under the three strikes law, and we want him out, and we don't fear his release, but the district attorney's office is saying the victims do fear his release. Well, there's something going wrong here. And I have documentation to support that.
Let me ask you this. So tell my audience exactly what do you have pending now and what do you anticipate your next move is. We're going to try to steal a spotlight on this particular case. A good friend of ours brought it to our attention. He's incarcerated in California, Dave Reinhardt, another guy that got over 50 years, first guy in history to kill a robot. And he said he's like us. He knows the law pretty well. And he researched your case and got to know you. And so he was very, very insistent that we talk to you. And so I have many people lined up to come on the show. And we decided that yours is so serious and the amount of time you've been in already so serious to kind of put you towards the front of the line. Now, we want to try to get you additional media attention and trigger an investigation into these funds and possible alleged misallocation of these funds that are not being used to help people like you that they were designed to help, at least in your case. So we're going to get to the bottom of this one way or the other. We are not in California, and so we hope you don't get any retaliation, but we're going to pursue all legal means to try to see what we can do with your family and attorneys and with yourself to try to bring more exposure on this.
So to answer the question, on February 13th, I filed a petition for writ of habeas corpus in the San Diego Superior Court under the California Racial Justice Act. It's a new law that began to be effective January 1st, 2024. I'm also relying on Senate Bill 97, new evidence, a new standard to file a petition under new evidence. And I'm relying on other assembly bills that place an emphasis that punishment is no longer the objective of the criminal justice system. It's now rehabilitation and helping people to reintegrate back into society successfully. And so I believe that these new laws that came out, that the justice system is completely acting in a contradictory way. It just doesn't make sense. You have these laws that pass and they say help these people in this way, but you're not getting it. Right. You're not getting it that way.
They're abusing it. They're using friends and influence to keep you there. It seems like, allegedly.
Yes.
And it also seems like, and I experienced this in several different states. The more people they can keep in, even by bogus write-ups and all these other things they do that are petty, these petty enforcement of rules, and creating violations where none exist, serve a greater purpose, and that's job security for corrections officer and administrators. Because if the guys that were really eligible to get out, like yourself, who have draconian sentencing, and for my audience, draconian sentencing, I'll put the definition on the screen, but it means grossly disproportionate sentencing to what something like this would call for. I don't have the exact definition in front of me. Do you have the Black's Law definition in front of you?
I don't have it in front of me, but I have access to it.
Right.
So, and I want to place an emphasis on another disturbing thing here. So, obviously we all know that funding is a serious issue here. People want us to be in here so that they could generate revenue, so they could make money. The crazy thing here is that I'm sitting here and I witness sex offenders, rapists, child molesters, murderers, people that have killed 2-3 people going to board. And for some weird reason, you have sex offenders being released. Why is the state passing a 3 strikes law targeted to incarcerate murderers and child molesters and rapists, but they're affecting nonviolent offenders, but they're releasing the people that the laws were passed for? It doesn't make sense.
Right. Like the state of our border, they're letting people in who have not been vetted. We don't even know who they are. And there's some reporting that the Venezuelan prisons are being emptied out and they're being sent over here. But so, I got a question for you from Mary. So, how's that say? I can't read it. Oh, do you know any other Middle Eastern people or people with your background or heritage that are being over-sentenced or abused by the same prosecutor?
I don't know. I'm currently investigating that. I don't have any information on any people that are Chaldean that have been through what I'm through. But I do know that there's a case in San Diego County where, a Chaldean guy who was involved in committing a sex crime against, one of my cousin's relatives, his niece. And the district attorney's office swept it under the rug and said, oh, well, we don't have enough evidence here, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of, brush this off like it's trivial, and allows the guy to go to the county jail, spend the night there, and then he goes spends the rest of the day at his business.
That's what they did
And
to Epstein. They put him in the county jail and let him leave every single day. He was doing what he wanted to do.
yeah,
And then
and you know why?
a whole trail of victims between there. I wrote a book about Galen. Now, let me ask you this. You identified one case.
You know why? They let this guy do this because he's a millionaire and he's got a lot of money and he probably funds campaigns for the district attorney's office, in my opinion.
Is that the guy you said was released on parole, or the guy that only went to the county jail?
No, this is the guy who went only to the county jail for a sex crime, and they swept it under the rug as trivial. And the girl that was the victim is suing their family, in civil court. So I'm still investigating all the facts of this so that I can speak on it accurately.
Right. That's exactly what they did with Epstein. Everybody knows what Epstein continued to do as soon as they just gave him a minimal sentence. They called an underage girl a prostitute. Well, there's no consent when she's underage, so whether there was money involved or not is completely irrelevant. And they gave him county time, and then years later had to circle back and try to clean up their mess with a string of victims in the rearview mirror. So a lot of these people, they're, historically don't change. Here you are, a guy 27 years old, and now you're 47. So for my audience who's just joining us, what was your sentence again?
50 years to life for telephone threats and vandalism.
Well, which constitutes nonviolent offenses under California law. And
Correct.
He's been in 20 years already and just got denied parole.
Got denied for being a unreasonable risk to public safety. If I got out, and they said that I was going to be they did have a psychiatrist evaluate me to say that if I got out, I was going to commit violence when I have no violence in my life or my history.
What was your?
Violent crimes.
Was your jury? Do you think your jury was composed of racially balanced jury, like a jury of your peers?
No, absolutely not. I had people on my jury that worked for the family court. And here we have an ex-girlfriend making an allegation. So what do you think she's going to rule on? She works for the family court. I had a guy that had his family member work for Homeland Security. I had my house raided by Homeland Security for false allegations that the ex-girlfriend, the victim in this case, Danielle Anaya, made allegations that I had stolen FBI guns in my house, caused a raid. The feds came in there, destroyed the whole house, and left like, oh, we didn't find nothing. Like, okay, well, sorry, guys, leave this damage to you guys. And this was all part of the retaliation that the ex-girlfriend that put me here had done. Calling, saying he's got stolen FBI guns, get the house raided, and here we are.
It's like these days when they SWAT people, something like that. But let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Now, these days, isn't she on your side, saying that she doesn't want to see you in the prison all this time?
Yeah, she's also was supportive of me, despite all the things that she did, and despite the lies and the false police reports that led me to this conviction. I still have documentation clearly stating that she or any other victim do not fear my release and oppose my sentence. I have it all, and I can send it to you. We can post it so people can see it in writing. I had a criminal justice consultant and private investigator interview these people. I have a sentencing report that was put together that clearly states these people do not want me warehoused in state prison.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Leave a comment. If you want to interview my guest, reach out to me. I'll make the connection. I'll make the introduction. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.